Hi YouTube, welcome to Pagan Perspective. This is Megan, aka Sibiristry, and this is Friday. Hi YouTube, welcome to Pagan Perspective. I am Megan, aka Sibiristry, and today is Friday. We are talking about sort of this idea of what makes you what you are. So, you know, people are talking about what makes a witch, what makes a pagan, what makes a druid is the original question. So, but we're kind of, because we're not all druids, we're doing it a little bit different and saying whatever you are, what makes you what you are. So, and I like this idea, is what makes us who we are. So I didn't film on the beach today. I'm actually at my house. And my lanai is back there, and I just needed a little bit of an inside time. We actually did the road to Hana in Maui, and I have a vlog. You can check out my personal channel that's in the link below to see that if you want to see some ocean shots and all that. But I thought I would just straight up talk today. You know, haven't done that one in a little while. So I thought about this, and what did I want to say? Like, what makes a pagan, what makes a witch. And for me, I think what I really wanted to talk about more was being a hereditary pagan, a hereditary witch. Like, what makes a hereditary? And I think that that's really important, because there are so many people that have been accused of being faux hereditaries. I know that there was some people say that, you know, lineages, some people say, oh, I've been, you know, Wiccan for this many generations or whatever, and they go back past Gardner, who basically created Wicca. So this idea, I mean, didn't create it out of nothing, took a lot of components that were already there and already in the craft and already in the wise women tradition and the folk traditions and all of that, and then morphed it into a more organized type path. So it's still not organized religion by any means in the kind of Abrahamic faith wise, but it is organized in a way. It does have some structure. And so I am not that. I am not in this structured kind of thing, because I am a hereditary path. I am the old path, the folk tradition, the wise woman. You know, my family were shamans and were wise people. They were the herbalists of the town, those kind of things. We have a folk tradition that's been passed down. And that folk tradition has a lot of, you know, mysteries and things like that that are important and are special and unique to my family, but it's not this organized set that, you know, when you look at Wicca or something like that. So when I talk about ritual or things, or when I'm doing something publicly with groups, you know, I have incorporated, you know, since my teen years, a lot of these organized elements, because A, it makes me more accessible in a public setting. If I'm teaching somebody, if I'm participating in a ritual, you know, I might not say hail and welcome in my own rituals, you know, my family traditions, but I understand why it is said in public ritual, and it would seem really weird if I didn't chime in with that, or if I didn't participate with that. So those are some of that differences, is what makes a hereditary. So I think there's different types, obviously, of hereditaries. There are also a new breed of hereditaries, which I think is super important to bring up right now, and that is all the children being born to people who converted to Wicca in the 60s and 70s and stuff. Like, that is a whole nother breed of hereditaries now. They are being, not only were they being raised in a folk tradition in old ways, but now they're being raised in an organized pagan way. That is amazing to me. That is so exciting. I can't wait to have kids and to be able to do that, and to be able to instill some of that organization as well. And also, I think the biggest thing for me is to be able to include outside circles, to have your kids have friends who also have similar beliefs. Maybe not the same, but when I was growing up, when I got my teen years, I found pagan groups and stuff like that. But growing up, we never did any of that. Like, we didn't go out to festivals or pagan groups, things like this. This was all just kept within the family. Like, that's it. Like, there wasn't anything outside of that. But now I go to these public rituals and I go to pagan pride events and things like that. And there are these little kids there who are so proud. And this is their everyday. This is what they're used to. This is how they are growing up. And they're growing up in this amazing community. This village is raising them, this pagan village. And I just cannot wait to see the next generation and what they're able to do. And it's just, that gets me really excited. So that's sort of what I think of what makes hereditary. And for me, when I think about my path, what makes me spiritual and what makes, me pagan, I guess, it's about the inner confidence and the inner spirit. That's huge. It's so intrinsic. There are some people who you can tell are newer to the craft. Sometimes they need to wear it on their sleeve, especially when they have experienced a lot of opposition and a lot of bigotry and hate. They need to outwardly portray it, almost like an armor, but also to say, you know what, you didn't bring me down. You didn't bring me down at all. And I see them and I'm like, wow, I commend them for what they're doing. Like, if I'm talking about somebody who maybe is wearing, full robes, right? Cloak, robes, all the way from, initiate robes to Harry Potter robes, everything you can think of in between. Full robes into a grocery store, okay? Really extreme example of that. I look at that and yes, do I think maybe they are slightly newer to the craft or to their current way? Yes. Or that could be one thing. They're newer to it and they really are just so excited and they want to wear it. I know when I first came out, oh my gosh, it was rainbow everything. I had to have rainbows on everything. I had my rainbow bracelet. It was rainbow everywhere. Now it's like an occasional rainbow is great. No problem. So yes, one thing is that they could be newer to the craft and they're just like, this is so exciting. I'm just embracing it fully. And the other is I see them and I'm like, wow, they might have had to go through a lot. Whether or not that was their family going against them, significant other going against them, society at large giving them a lot of pushback. I know some families who, when they have had messy divorces, courts have actually taken away kids because one parent is pagan. And I can see that they've gone through a lot. And it's almost like saying, you will not bring me down. I will still wear this. I will still show this. I'm still going to be proud of this no matter what happened. And I see it almost like, it's like seeing somebody that went through something and you just want to tip your hat to them. You want to salute them. You want to be like solidarity, like, yes, I'm with you. Absolutely. I understand. And that also makes me reflect on my position of privilege. And I think that that's so important for us to do, is to constantly look at our lives and see where we have oppression and, minority status and we're struggling, and where we're privileged, because everyone has different components of themselves. There are certain people who, have one area of their life in which they're majorly oppressed and another area which they're majorly privileged. Other people, it's not so extreme. Maybe they have less oppression and less privilege and it meets in the middle a little bit and it's harder to distinguish. But everyone has some type of privilege and some type of oppression. It's just the way that it works. And when you acknowledge that, when you say, you know what, this is where I'm privileged. Absolutely, I'm privileged here, and recognize that and respect it. And then pass that on. Show that respect to those who aren't as privileged as you are in that position. And I know for me, I am privileged in that I didn't have to go through that same type of oppression when it came to my religion. Now, yes, in school, I did have a lot of bullying, a ton of bullying. I mean, I remember in high school, I was in the locker room and they turned off all the lights and they were like, "Fly, Megan, fly." You know, and those kind of things are hard. And that type of trauma sticks with you and you definitely feel it. However, I also was able to embrace that part of myself in other ways. Yes, high school, I couldn't do it. Not a great place to do it for me. That was a bad place. I was also teased for my weight tremendously in high school. You know, yelling "Free Willy," you know, as I walked down the hall, or "There she blows," that kind of thing, or being pushed into lockers or pushed downstairs. You know, I was also physically abused in high school. But, you know, part of it is I also found a community outside of high school, you know, going to LARPing events and Renaissance fairs and pagan events, things like that. I found a community that enveloped me and protected me and was amazing. And so I feel very privileged that I had that community, because not everybody has that. They have that high school experience that I did, maybe, and oftentimes can even be worse. And then on top of it, they look around and there aren't pagan prides in their area, or there aren't pagan events in their area, or there aren't Renaissance fairs or LARPs or things like that. There's not something for them to be able to go to, or they've got a family that's totally unsupportive. I had an amazing supportive family, you know, who shared all my beliefs so that I could go to and was a support. So even when I was crying because something happened at school, I could go and cry to my mother and it was okay. So, you know, that's just something to keep in mind in all of this, is we all have levels of this privilege, and to recognize the struggle in somebody else and stand in solidarity with them when they have that. And I think that's an essence of what makes us who we are. You know, what makes someone something is recognizing it, acknowledging what they are and who you are, and moving forward with it. If I want to be a humanitarian, if I want to be an activist, I recognize that in myself, and then I go forward and I do that, you know, and seeing that in other people. If you say this is what makes a pagan, you know, they're warm and they're charitable and they're giving and they're inclusive and tolerant, you know, and then you turn around and, you know, say that there should be, you know, gendered bathrooms or something like that. That's not being tolerant. That's not being, you know, open-minded, and that's not recognizing the truth in somebody else. If you recognize the truth within yourself, we owe it then to humanity, to the world, to the earth, to then recognize truth in other people, that what their preferred gender is their gender. That's just the way it is. It is it. And that is truth. That is their truth. And everybody has a right to that. And we don't have a right to try and take that away, or take away these basic rights. And I believe this for all earthlings. I believe this for all, you know, sentient living beings. It's why I'm vegan. It's why I won't eat another sentient being. I think it's very important. And I know not everyone agrees with me on this. It's my truth. And I get it that it's not everybody else's truth. And that's okay. You know, a lot of my family members aren't vegan. You know, I'm lucky enough that my wife shares my views, and but you know, a lot of people I love aren't that way, and that's okay too. So we have to recognize that all we can do is live our own truth, really, and try to be the best example and try to be a light for other people to follow if they choose. And not everybody will choose. And that's okay. It's okay. All we can do is just live our best life and our best version of ourselves. So what makes a hereditary witch a hereditary witch? What makes a pagan a pagan? What makes a vegan? What makes a human a human? What makes an earthling an earthling? Is this idea that we need to strive to live our life in the most honest and sincere way we can. To live our own truth and hopefully hopefully with a lot of compassion. I guess that would be it for today. So, yeah, I just think this topic sparks so many things. You know, I'm thinking about Standing Rock right now, and I'm definitely standing in solidarity. As many of you know, I'm Mohawk, and that's, the Kanesatake are definitely standing strong and in solidarity. And I'm in Maui right now, and we've got people on the side of the road every single day with signs standing in solidarity with Standing Rock. We're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and we're still standing in solidarity. And that is a truth, that we're standing with that. And we're saying, no, we are earthlings, and this is important. Water is important. Life is important. Water is life. And I think that, you know, what makes us compassionate people, what makes us human, what makes us earthlings, is our ability to love. What makes an animal, I mean, you see them with their young, that love, that compassion. We need more of that. We need so much more of that in this world. And, you know, I think the more we can interject love into every part of our daily lives, it will only help. And being compassionate, you know, it's definitely the least we can do. So that would be it, guys, for today. If you're interested in some ocean stuff or a very windy road, check out my vlog Tahana on my personal channel. And I will see you next week on here. I'm not sure what we're talking about next week. I will have to check that out. It'll be very exciting. I'm sure it'll be a very cool topic. If you have topic ideas, please, please, please post them on the Pagan Perspective blog site or here on YouTube. Please, please, please go to the main page on Pagan Perspective and put in your ideas and everything, please. We would love, 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 love to get your ideas for different topics and things that you want us to talk about. We really get inspired by your ideas, and feel free to get a little crazy with the ideas. I mean, what's the worst that's gonna happen? We're not gonna do it? I mean, come on. You know, hit us with your best shot. All right, so until next week, guys, as always, blessed be and aloha.